back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Shay. This is the Purple Tiger Fibers podcast. I'm coming to you from New England. If you can hear weird sounds like cereal, that is because I have a pellet stove heating my house. If you can hear pitter patters, I have a puppy. So, today's video is going to be all about most of the things that I knit in 2023. I have a lot more than I thought I did, and this is not all of it. I have a lot of gift knits that I gave away, some baby gifts that I did and are gone, a couple of birthday presents that are gone, and a couple of things that I knit and then didn't like and then sold. So this is basically the bulk of what I kept, I guess. And some of these are also going to be reworked, and I will tell you why and which ones while we go through these. I'm going to be trying them on so that I can show you, obviously not the accessories. I have like 3 or 4 hats. I have a couple of pairs of socks. I'm only going to show you one pair because the other ones came out so bad I don't want to show you. And a pair of wrist warmers. So we'll start with those. So I'm going to start with the socks. It did come out sort of okay. I learned how to do these on straight needles. I followed a free pattern. I will try to link it down below in the description. You work it all flat and then you seam it up the like up the back and then the sides. But overall, this pattern I like. It's not terribly bulky. It's not as nice as if you were to work it in like magic loop or circular needles, but I am afraid to make a heel. I don't know why. I have tried before and failed, and that's probably going to be on my bucket list of things to do. I did wash these to try to felt them a little bit in the dryer, and they collected fuzzies. So, but this is basically what they're looking like. This white is a thrifted acrylic yarn, and then this pinkish kind of watermelon color is some kind of variegated yarn. It's beautiful. It is definitely wool. And again, it was thrifted, so I have no idea what the brand is or anything like that. So that is my pair of socks that came out good enough to wear. Next, I have a pair of fingerless gloves. These I guess I can try on. They are knit up in a, and they have fuzzies on them. They're knit up in a broken rib, and they just have a little like cutout for the hole. They are knit flat, and then I seam the side, leaving an opening for the thumb. Very, very simple, easy. I just wanted something that I could throw on while I was driving that wasn't going to impede my hands. And honestly, I wear these a lot. They work really well. And these are knit up in another thrifted yarn. I think it's a wool and acrylic blend that I use. It literally didn't have any like brand tag on it or anything. It was just like one little cake. So I was like, what can I use that for? Fingerless gloves. All right. Next, I'm going to just quickly rapid fire the hats that I made. This hat is made up of a, what is that called? The cotton and linen blend. Oh, no, it's not. It's the bamboo and linen, that the kobu yarn. And it's in a really pretty lavender color. I wanted a kind of a slouchy hat, but to be honest, I didn't make the slouch long enough. It's not long enough, like, in the length. And I'm probably going to take it apart and do something else with the yarn. Next, I had some leftover yarn from a sweater that I made and gifted to my mom. I really love this yarn. I had actually made, okay, so I had undone an entire sweater. I made 2 sweaters in this yarn, one in green and one in purple, way earlier on in the beginning of the year, at the beginning of my podcast. I think it's like episode 2 or something, maybe even episode 1. I made 2 cropped cardigans in a broken rib, and I plan on working those and releasing the pattern at some point. But I didn't like wearing them, and the yarn is too good to kind of waste. So I undid them both. It is a Quince & Co. yarn. I think it's called Ibis. I think it's discontinued. I thrifted the yarns, and there was a sweater quantity of both, but it was kind of a small sweater. So anyway, this is the purple variation, and I undid it and made a little hood for myself, kind of like a bonnet. And you can see I didn't even like bother fixing the ends well. So this is actually, I think, going to come apart also. It's a little bit too long this way, like down on my neck. I made it slightly too big. So I'm either going to rework it or take it apart and make something else with it. I might take it apart and reuse the yarn for a color work project that I have in the future. And that is a mohair and wool blend. Next, I have another hat. Obviously, I have two more. And this hat, I just wanted a kind of close to the head cable knit hat in something warm. Again, this is the Ibis, and it is the Quince & Co. And I believe it's the mohair and wool as well. It has like the same kind of halo. Obviously discontinued. I made this completely flat, and then I seamed the back, and then I crocheted up the circle at the top. I haven't blocked this. I wear it a lot just because it's warm. I was playing with cables. This is a cable where you don't have to use a cable needle. It's a pretty easy one. I learned it a long time ago in a vintage baby knitting book. And I just kind of never forgot the stitch, so I do use it kind of often. But I was playing around with the direction of the which way it leans. And I think there's at least one on here that I did wrong. But that's okay, because it's just for me. And then lastly, I have this balaclava style hood, sort of cape thing. Not cape. It's not a cape. It's a hood. And so this one just has a hole in the front for your face. I need to weave in the end. I've worn this a bunch. I didn't weave in the end. But it's a broken rib detail, and I used I think it's Lion brand, like the 1 pound Lion brands. It was nice and soft, but it's 100% acrylic. So that is everything I have for accessories for the year that survived. And now I'm gonna get into garments. I'm gonna try these on over my white shirt. I just wore a fitted shirt. It's not how I would style these necessarily, but I wanted to give you kind of an overall view of how everything fits. So, starting with this sweater, which I didn't show you because I started my podcast way later in the season, and I knit this last January. This is a fitted sweetheart neckline style kind of ribbed knit sweater. And it is worked in 1x1 rib, and this is also that same 1 pound Lion brand. And I initially knit it shorter, and I didn't like how short it was, so you can see that I added on length, and it kind of looks a little weird, but that's okay. I did write down the pattern for this, and I planned to do that. I did write down the pattern for this, and I actually made one in cream as well, but it's somewhere in my stash of winter clothes that I haven't taken out yet, and I'm not going to get it. Same goes for okay, so here is the sweater on. Please excuse my hair throughout this video. I'm sure it's not going to stay where I put it. So overall, the fit of this is actually pretty cute. If I was to make it again, which I probably will at some point, I would make it in a thinner yarn. I was doing the best that I could with the budget I had, and I didn't realize that you could take apart existing sweaters. So this is knit in like probably like a DK weight. It's actually thicker than that, but I had actually taken the yarn, it has 4 fibers, and I split it in half and separated it out. So it was 2 fibers. 2 strands, and honestly that was a huge pain in the ass, so I don't recommend, but I was working with what I had, and I was trying to get a thinner yarn so that I could make a more fitted piece. So this is what we came up with. It's still pretty thick, but I do like the shape. I think that the sweetheart neckline is very pretty. It was kind of inspired by those excuse the dog, it was kind of inspired by those Kate tops that everybody was wearing. That like really pretty bodysuit that was a rib with just kind of a plain beautiful neckline. So this is it. It came out okay. I would probably rework it in the future, but you know, you live and you learn. I didn't mention before, all of my patterns are self-drafted. So far, I have yet to work up an existing pattern, not because I don't want to, but because of budget reasons, and also I just really enjoy creating from scratch. I like to be inspired by a piece and then see how I can make something kind of similar to that. A lot of the time I see like not knitted garments on like Pinterest and stuff, and I have an idea and then I try to work it up. Okay, so this is the Amelia top. This is worked in it's a sock yarn. I'm gonna forget a lot of these yarns. It's been a long time since the beginning of the year. But this is what is it? I think it's a nylon blend. I don't think it has any wool in it. I believe it's just nylon and acrylic, like polyamide. But it does have a nice drape, and it is a light fingering weight yarn, according to the package. But I really wanted something kind of whimsical, a little bit kind of bohemian, maybe a little whimsigoth. So here is what we came up with. It has a little bit of a peasant vibe. It originally had I originally was gonna make a matching skirt, and I did, but I didn't like it, and I ripped half of it out. So that is not a finished product. But overall, this is a really cute piece. I actually really like this in the springtime. It has a little drawstring in the center here, as well as at the chest. It does have a lace-up detail, because originally I was going to make it open with buttons, but I ended up closing it. So this version is just laced up, and I do have this centerpiece. So I added a little bit of like a peplum to kind of give it a little bit of more versatility. I like to wear this with skirts, and with dresses it looks really cute. So this is the first one that I made, and I actually made a navy blue one for my aunt, which has obviously gone to her. And I also made a second one, which is this one. And this one is a little bit different. So this one I did do buttons, and I added a ribbon detail instead of the like crocheted string. Oh, I didn't even mention, these are crocheted. So I do knit and crochet, sorry. So this is, again, the Amelia top, and this one has, I think I did the trim different on this one. So this one has a little like kind of scalloped trim, and I really like this one. Again, this is really pretty. It looks really cute with just like a pair of light wash jeans in the springtime, and it is knit in the same yarn, just a different colorway. And I think this one's a little shorter, to be honest, but it probably is because it hasn't been worn as much. I noticed that this yarn kind of grows a little bit when you wear it, because the other one I'd worn more. But overall, this one is very, very pretty. It's very sweet. And again, this one's called the Amelia top. I am working on a pattern for this so that I can release it at some point in the future. Here's the back. Okay, so next, I was trying a couple of things with this piece. I'm not usually a vest wearer. If I'm gonna wear a vest, I like a fitted sort of waistcoat, more of a Victorian style vest, rather than like a loose, oversized one. But I was just kind of curious. I was playing around. This gives off very big Hobbit vibes. I don't hate it. I was playing around with a slip stitch. It kind of looks like almost like dragon scales or armor, or maybe like I don't know, pine cone pieces, like a piece of a pine cone or something. Either way, I only made one, and I again used the 1 pound acrylic yarn. I had a good amount of it that I had bought or had been gifted in the past. I have a good amount of acrylic yarn that I have been gifted over the years, and I'm trying to work through and use for projects that are suited for acrylic yarn. It's not my favorite thing to work with, but I don't want to waste it. So here is the vest on, and to be honest, I think it would be really cute with the right kind of dress, and it is comfortable and warm, and overall I'm not mad at it. It was an interesting experiment, and I did actually make a sweater, a cropped sweater as well, in this same kind of pattern, and I think I'm going to do something with this slip stitch pattern in the future. I just have to figure out what. So this one doesn't have a name. I only made the one off kind of as a see if I like this kind of a vest thing. Next, I have a piece that actually is going to be frogged. This piece I made kind of as a template, and it ended up too big. So it is inspired by 18th century bodices. I wanted something a little bit corset reminiscent, It has a beautiful square neckline. It has a rib section at the back to kind of cinch it in. And I did this with kind of like a longer sort of quarter sleeve, and I added a pretty crochet detail. It is knit mostly, and then the trim is crochet. But we ended up being too big. This is a salvage sweater. It used to be a 100% wool Madewell sweater, and it's around a sport weight, maybe a little bit bigger than a sport weight. But it ended up being too big. So we had issues here in the sleeve where I clearly added too many stitches. This is when I'm first starting to like play around with these shapes, so it's definitely like a work in progress. It's way too big here, like way too big. And the back, I'm not even sure. But overall, it was a good lesson in trying to get the kind of shape that I wanted, and I will probably remake this at some point in a smaller size. And I think I worked this up with like pretty tiny needles. I think this was like a size 3 needle, US 3. I don't know what that is in millimeters. I was taught old school and I never learned millimeters. This one has fuzzies on it, of course. So please ignore the fuzzies. But this is a reworked sweater as well. This is a 100% cashmere that I salvaged from an existing sweater. Oh my goodness, I have so many fuzzies on this, I'm so sorry. But this one came out way better. So this is the same kind of a design. It has the kind of bodice corseted V in the front. It has a beautiful square neck. It does sag because it is a lace weight yarn. And when I worked the crochet, I should have kind of maybe done like one less scallop so that it wasn't sagging. And this one does have the panel in the back as well. I don't know if you can see it on camera because it's black, but the V kind of goes out on the sides to kind of cinch it in. I was trying to figure out how to work my ribbing so that it would cinch the piece. And this is gonna be a pain to get on because it's sticky yarn. I'm wearing a cashmere. This white top is cashmere, so it wants to stick to itself. And I wouldn't wear most of these pieces with a top underneath because clearly it's not made for it. Okay, sort of. There we go. So bear with me if it looks slightly wonky. But overall, this piece is really beautiful. I actually really, really like this piece. This cashmere is extra soft for some reason. It was a repurposed loft sweater from the 90s, and I've heard that the fibers from the 90s are better quality than the cashmere that we're getting now, just in the stores. So overall, I really like this piece. I think I have a name for it, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. I did write down an entire pattern for this one, and I probably will release it in the future. Oh, I didn't mention, it does have this sort of a V over the sleeve as well, like over the hand, which I thought was kind of a pretty kind of vampy touch. Next I have a series of these corset style kind of bodice tops. These I wear over dresses, I wear over shirts, you can wear them alone. I did make a pattern for this as well, I haven't named it yet, but I have 3 of them that I made. This one came out the best. This is a thrifted yarn, and it's some kind of wool blend. It does have memory, I just don't know how much of it is wool blend. It's kind of scratchy, so I didn't want to make a garment of it. I had like an entire cone of it, but I didn't really want to use it on something that was going to go against the skin. So this is what it looks like. And I really like how this particular one came out. This blue one came out the best. It is a worked flat piece. Most of my pieces are worked flat up until this point. I do have the lace up so you can adjust it, and it's just a 2x2 rib, and it's worked, I don't know if it's called contiguously. You work from one bottom to the front. So it's worked from bottom all the way to the front, and then you seam it on the sides. So the straps are all one piece, and it's a pretty easy do. So, and I did make and I made a black and a green one as well. The green one came out bad. This one, for some reason, came out bigger, even though I used the same stitch count. And I believe it's because it's a different kind of yarn. This is another one of those 1 pound Lion Brand yarns. And I really like the color, but it came out like way drapier, and it's too big. I washed it once and it collected all kinds of hair and all of my ends came out also. But, you know, I'll probably still wear it. I'm going to see if I can rework it. I might take it apart and make it smaller. And then I made a black one, and this is 100% acrylic yarn. I think this is just the Walmart brand yarn. It's like a Walmart, like 1 pound sort of situation. But I wanted a black one, and I had some of this black yarn floating around, and I figured it's an over piece, so it's for layering. It's not gonna matter if it is acrylic against the skin. How is my hair doing? We're about halfway through. I don't know what I look like right now. So, okay. The next piece is a kind of Whimsigoth inspired piece. This is also inspired by, there is a vintage lip service shirt that I was inspired by for the shape. I have talked about it in a previous video. I'll try to link that video either up above or down below. And the original has spider webs. It's like a net with spider webbing. But I really like the shape of it. The original had this like hook and eye detail here, and then it had like the more flared kind of almost peplum section. But my original plan was to do that, and then I realized that the hook and eyes that I got were the wrong kind, and it wasn't working, and I was really annoyed. So I ended up sewing it all the way up, which I don't like. I didn't mention this is a knit up with 2 different kinds of salvaged sweater yarn. I salvaged an 100% merino sweater and an acrylic and wool blend sweater, and it made this beautiful kind of marled yarn, which I really like, and it's really kind of soft and squishy. But this is going to be a reworked piece. I'm going to be taking this apart and doing something else with the yarn. I don't reach for it, and I think that I can do better. The whole bottom section and the sleeve, which is a bell sleeve, is crocheted, and the rest is knit. I will put it on for you. It doesn't look terrible, but I will show you exactly why I'm going to redo it. Okay, so here are the things that we don't like. First of all, I did a good job this time of picking up along the arms. There is the right number of stitches. It is worked flat and seamed. So, and I picked up along the arm edge, obviously, to make the sleeve. I like doing it that way when I'm doing this kind of a construction. It is neater looking. So here's my bell, which isn't terrible. I kind of like that shape, came out okay. But when I get to my front here, first of all, when I close it up, it's uneven. Second of all, I didn't count how many stitches I was picking up along this kind of bottom edge, and it's not even. So it's looking a little weird, and I just think it's a little too short on top of it. I wear kind of a mid, sometimes a low rise. I'm short-waisted, and so if I wear a really high rise, it just doesn't look great on me. So I'm moving away from those higher rise jeans into a mid-rise. These particular jeans are a vintage pair of Levi's, by the way. They are either from the 80s or 90s, and they're kind of they hit kind of right on my hip. They're just below my belly button, so they're more of like a mid-rise. So that is this sweater, and I already sewed in the tag and everything, but I'm gonna be frogging it. The yarn is just too pretty for me to keep it and then not wear it. So I'm gonna try to work that into something that I will wear. Next, I have another piece that is a salvaged yarn, and it is pretty much the same construction as the other sweater. I think I made this one first. You'll probably see why in a minute. This is a 100% wool that I stole from an existing sweater. And this one kind of is full of hair. Sorry about that. This one I made in an attempt to give me something to layer. I wanted something that was almost sheer, but opaque enough that I could get away with wearing just like a tank top under it, or like even like a bralette if I wanted to. And this one's going to be a pain in the butt to get on over my shirt here. And I think this is a navy, by the way. It looked like it was black when I was starting to work it up. And now in the light, it looks navy. So I'm not sure if it's navy or blue. Leave your your thoughts down below on whether or not it's navy or blue. Okay. So it's probably a little wonky under the sleeve because it's sticking to this shirt. But my first issue with this is that I think it's too short. Just slightly. I think it needs like another inch. And I can fix that very easily because I did the bottom with a like a crocheted ladder effect. So the second problem we have is that here, my shoulder, I pick up too many stitches again. And it does this weird thing. I also think that I maybe have made my arm depth not deep enough this way. And so I have too many stitches going down my shoulder. I have more of a smaller slope shoulder. I am a petite person. I'm only 5'1". And like I said before, I'm short-waisted. So trying to get things to fit me sometimes is a challenge. But you can definitely see it more on this side. It kind of does this thing. Don't like that thing. But I still wear it. And it's good underneath like a dress if I want like a longer sleeve or even over something else. I've also worn it underneath those corset style tops that I showed you earlier. And to be honest, I blocked it and it's very like thick and thin with the yarn. I don't know. I might do something else with this yarn. We might try to find a better use for it. But either way. And then next I have one more of those corset style tops. This one isn't ribbed. I wanted to play with a more tank top style one. And it's worked in that same purple salvage yarn. This one, I'm not gonna bother trying on. It looks pretty much the same. It just has it's just worked up in a stockinette instead. Then I have a cardigan. I think this is the only cardigan I made this year. This is completely crocheted and it is worked with a bell sleeve. This is an interesting kind of construction. So I worked the top half. You can probably see where the pattern changes. I don't know if you can. I worked the top half this way, so from sleeve to sleeve, and then I picked up and worked the whole bottom section going the opposite direction, kind of almost in a round. And I did this because I am ever aware as a short lady of what the eye perceives as tall or not tall. So, and this is not like, you don't need to worry about how tall you are. I just prefer certain things on myself. I try to look as tall as possible because I am so small. But I wanted to have this section, this top section where my waist is shorter, to look longer. So I made the top portion going horizontal with the stitches, and then I did the second half going the other direction. Overall, this is a really cute piece. It's actually pretty warm. It's also knit up in that same sock blend yarn. I had gotten a bunch of it on sale last winter and it's really soft. This has been washed and dried one time, and originally I was going to do buttons down the front, just like to the top half, like to here, and then I realized that I had used the buttons for something else, and I have lazily not put any buttons on it yet. So I have this little string. It's very like Y2K inspired, but I'm not mad at that. Very whimsigoth, kind of grungy. I like it. All right, how are we doing? Have you made it? Are you still here? Are you still with me? I only have a couple more pieces, so thank you so much for being here. If you have made it to this part of the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a little yarn emoji if you made it this far. Next, I have a kind of fishnet piece. This is 100% linen yarn. I had undone a tank top that had a hole in it, and this one's going to be a whole big thing to try to get on. It has lots and lots of holes. I worked this up in a really large gauge with a large needle. I think I worked this up with US 13s, and I did that on purpose. Oh my goodness, it's going to be a nightmare to get over my arm. Oh no. Okay, work with me here. Let's see if I can do it. This is all I got. All right, we're not gonna try it on. It will not go over the shirt. Anyway, the whole point of this was to have something for layering, and look at how much it went like up just for me like stretching it. Basically, I wanted to have something for layering. I wanted to have something cropped that I could throw over like a tank top or whatever. It is just a stockinette. It's a basic drop sleeve construction. I might make a pattern for this in the future. I'm not sure. I've made a couple of sweaters using this, and they actually look pretty cute on, if you can get them on. But, you know, it is what it is. And I lied. I did make another cardigan this year. This I made recently. I don't even think I've showed it in a podcast episode. I think I was working on it in my last podcast episode. And I made it out of a really pretty house brand Hobby Lobby yarn. And it is 100% acrylic. It was beautiful. It was meant to look like a mohair. And I washed it one time and forgot it was in the dryer. And the fabric matted. It like completely matted up, which is very sad because it was very soft. It's still pretty soft. And it was beautiful. And now it's less beautiful and I'm not reaching for it like I was. But let's talk about the construction of it. It is a drop shoulder construction. And I intentionally just made a kind of big cylinder and then I cinched it in at the cuff. I wanted something slouchy. And I played yarn chicken and I did 2 sections where I added on more ribbing at the bottom because it was too short. And it's still kind of short. I think that for my preference, I would have it even maybe an inch longer, but it's sticking to itself, which makes me sad. So I'm probably gonna make this sweater again in a different kind of yarn, and I do love the color. So I probably will still wear it like around the house and stuff, but sad time. You live and you learn, you pay more attention in the laundry. I don't generally wash my knits unless they are 100% acrylic or I'm trying to shrink them slightly or something, but that was a mistake. Okay, last thing that I technically knit this year. Technically, the last thing I knit was those socks, but we did those first. This was an attempt at a 90s inspired long sleeve top. I wanted something with a big scoop so that I could layer it, and I did this pretty crochet again on the sleeves. To be honest, this is going to be frogged. This is 100% cashmere mixed with 100% cotton, and these are again salvaged yarns from existing sweaters that had holes, and it just didn't come out right. So I'm not going to bother trying it on because again it's going to get stuck on my shirt. But what happened was I have too many stitches here again. I don't know how it keeps happening, and I think it might be something to do with the stretchiness of the yarn. And to be fair, I don't know, it's just not right. The V came out really big. It's not like terribly, like it's not like exposed like it looks like on the hanger, but I don't know, it's just not quite what I was looking for. And I think I'm going to use the yarn to make maybe a ranunculus or something. I've been really interested to make the ranunculus pattern. I know it's like a kind of a rite of passage to make that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will leave a picture of it. The ranunculus is a really pretty sweater, and I think it would be really pretty in kind of a really lightweight yarn. I like the sort of like wispy, airy looking ones that you can wear like kind of thrown over like a tank top or whatever. But that being said, we have finished all of my knits that I have made in 2023. If you made it to the end, that's awesome. I appreciate you. I will be returning back to regularly scheduled videos, hopefully. I know I slacked off for the entire month of December and half of November. I ended up doing a lot of gift knits, and it kind of took up all my time, and I didn't want to show gift knits on my video. So I do have this sneaky project here that will be featured in the next video, as well as some other pieces. I have been playing with color work and trying to teach myself how to do that. So there's going to be some color work stuff in a future video. But don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.